orders that are in. Okay, thank you. The meeting is now being recorded. So the standing orders for tonight's meeting are the standing orders in the draft document that is for ratification later on. But we've agreed that we're going to work with this because they're the only standing orders we have. So now, to kick off the proceedings this evening, our first, we have a message from the county mayor. And Mayor of the county, Councillor Gillian Coughlin, is going to is sending us a message. So maybe if we could have that now, please.
Welcome to the first plenary session of the Cork County Council Public Participation Network in 2 years. In that time, we have seen incredible developments throughout the towns and villages of Cork County. Outdoor dining, pedestrianisation, and the opening up of our public spaces enabled us to reconnect with one another and become a national destination for staycationers as we rose to meet the challenges 2020 presented us with. This is a testament to what can be accomplished when local authorities work side by side with the people we serve. Public participation networks are a crucial way for people to engage with local government. Working alongside Cork County Council, the Cork County PPN plays a key role in supporting developments locally. The PPN secures representation and a voice on boards and committees for community leaders and activists. Throughout my career as a local representative, I have seen time and time again how listening to and collaborating with volunteers and community leaders results in better decisions with lasting positive impacts for communities. Thanks to much hard work behind the scenes, the Cork County PPN is ready for a great renewal that starts today. I will work side by side with many of you in the years ahead to best serve our communities. This is a real honour, and on behalf of my colleagues in Cork County Council and the people of Cork, I am truly grateful for your continued participation.
Thank you there to the County Mayor, Councillor Gillian Coughlin. We now have a message from the Minister in charge of the PPNs at the department, Minister Joe O'Brien. So, from the Department of...
Good evening. I'm delighted to open the 2021 plenary meeting of Cork County PPN, which is also a relaunch event for the PPN. I am aware that this event is the culmination of a huge amount of behind-the-scenes work over the last year. Those involved in re-establishing Cork County PPN have shown fantastic commitment and dedication to building a successful organisation, and a huge amount of work has gone into re-establishing the PPN for the benefit of community groups across the county. I'm particularly heartened to note the dedication shown by the volunteer-led Secretariat and PPN representatives in undertaking such a large piece of work, and I thank you for that work. I do want to underline the value of what the PPNs do, which is bringing community groups together and giving them a voice in shaping the local policies that impact their lives. I wish to commend the PPN ambitious plans to reconnect with community groups from every corner of the largest county in Ireland. This is no mean feat, but the enthusiasm shown by the staff and the volunteers is more than equal to the task at hand. I'm confident that the substantial efforts being made by all involved will bring about a very active and vibrant PPN for Cork County going into the future. Not only will this ensure that community groups have a much greater say in local policy, it would also give groups a way to come together and learn more about each other and the wonderful initiatives being carried out by volunteers and non-profits across the county. Although I could not join you live tonight, it is my intention to visit Cork County PPN at a future date and hear about your great work at first hand. In the meantime, I wish you all every success in relaunching Cork County PPN and for a successful plenary.
So thank you there to the Minister of State with responsibility for community development and charities at the Department of Rural and Community Development, and that was Minister Joe O'Brien. Now, could I ask people again to change their name to show their own first name and their group, please? And somebody there has their hand up. It's not Sandy, but it's showing as being Sandy. Okay. Right, moving on anyway, we have I introduced the Secretariat is here. I think most of the Secretariat are here tonight. Maybe we're missing one or two. So we have Pat Dooley, Gavin Falk, Ronan Keneally, Tom Howard, Carol Harper, myself, Reid Coakley, Sean Kelly, Peter Deneen, John Fuller, Tommy Collins, Colm Cronin, Michael Doyle, Anne Finch, Jude Gilbert, Jose, and so that's everybody on the Secretariat. Over the last couple of months, last year really, we have been doing a lot of development, and that unfortunately we weren't able to have in-person meetings, so most of them were done over the internet and Zoom and all of that kind of thing. But I must pay a special tribute to Dr. Harriet Emerson, who has helped in getting us back up and back to where we are today. So we're looking forward to moving on from here. We're holding elections soon to get our representatives back onto the committees and that in the county council. We have welcomed Sandy McGorty and Pat Buckley on as our full-time staff, and they are doing Trojan work, re-registering the groups. They have been in contact with you over the last couple of months, I think since May, isn't it, Sandy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've been doing Trojan work over the last couple of months, trying to re-engage with everybody and bringing everyone on board. So now I'm going to invite Sandy to say a few words about the work plan and the activity report. Sandy, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks a million, Liam. Just to say, Pauline O'Dwyer as well, as she's another member of the Secretariat. She just couldn't make it tonight. She's at the Muntinatira event, which they're having tonight. Yeah, so thanks, Liam, and thanks to everyone for coming, not for coming out tonight because we didn't have to leave our house, thank God, in this weather, but for joining. I know we're all a bit fatigued with the online things, but thanks for joining, and we'll hopefully get a lot in, but we won't be here all night. I was just really impressed to see groups from as far west as Allihies and as far east as Youghal and as far north as Kanturk join. So sometimes the online thing can actually, work well, especially for a county as big as Cork. So yeah, as Liam said, I want to go through kind of the activity report, what we've been up to, and what our work plan kind of has been, what our work plan is, and what lies ahead, and get your input as well, of course, into the work plan. But I am aware that there's a lot of groups here tonight that are new. Some haven't registered. They're just here to find out what the PPN is, and through our registration process and just our engagement with groups. And I think it's even a national issue, like PPNs, they're really kind of a misunderstood group. So I just want to spend a little bit of time at the start to go into the kind of background of PPNs. Now, it's quite complicated, the whole local government structure, so I don't have time to really go into it now, and I wouldn't want to put you all to sleep, but I just have to do something brief tonight. But we can follow up. You can contact me anytime, after this, if you want to talk about anything specifically. So, I mean, Ireland, has been kind of recognised for a long time for not being great around citizenship and kind of not citizenship, but participatory democracy. Our democracy is very focused on representative democracy and electing on councillors and TDs to represent us, but really a healthy, best practice democracy, and one that, you see in other countries, is one which facilitates the public participation, at a local government and a national government level. So really the Putting People First action plan for local government highlighted this, and it set out a vision for active citizenship engagement at a local government level. A working group was set up on citizen engagement in 2014, and you all probably are familiar with the Local Government Reform Act in 2014, which really put PPNs, you know, on a statutory footing. Most people will remember this reform for the abolishment of town councils, which, you know, was arguably maybe a bad decision, but they were replaced with municipal districts, and Cork County has the accolade of having the highest number with 8 MDs and 3 LCDC areas. So, but at the same time, they established PPNs, which are public participation networks, and there's one in every local authority in Ireland. So they were rolled out in 2016. So it is a relatively, you know, recent structure and network, and really it's a sea change from the way government and our democracy has been kind of set up to now. So as you can imagine, there's been teething problems, and there still are teething problems. You know, but really there's a lot of support for PPNs at a national level, and the department responsible, the Department for Community and Rural Development, you know, are very much behind supporting PPNs to, you know, to really like build their capacity. And this year actually they're undergoing a kind of a structural review. The recommendations will be published next month, and this will all be, you know, in the hope to strengthen PPNs really. So what is the main role of PPNs? You know, we are there to really give a voice to communities at a local government level. So within Cork County Council, you know, we have committees. These committees formulate policy, and they, you know, comment on draft plans such as the County Development Plan, and all that then will go into the Corporate Policy Group, the CPG, which is made up of the chairs of all of these committees. You know, and from there, the full council will vote on these policies. So really, getting communities in, sitting around the table with county councillors, with high-level council staff, to really discuss like what's happening in, you know, in communities, what policies do we need, and ultimately the idea is that grassroots, bottom-up policy formulation will feed back up to the central policies, but most definitely at the local level anyway. Another big remit for PPNs is to really give a voice to socially excluded groups, minority groups, you know, groups that are suffering from poverty and exclusion. So we have one of our 3 colleges is dedicated for social inclusion groups. And really then to develop the other, you know, all 3 sectors, the environmental, social inclusion and community and voluntary sector, which are very, very strong in Cork. So again, the main function of PPNs is to actually give a voice to the communities of Cork, County Cork, you know, in the committees and the boards of Cork County Council. You know, we do a lot of other things such as give out information and offer free training, but really, you know, our core function is that of representation and of kind of local democracy. So if anybody wants to find out more, there's a hefty Bible that we call it, the PPN handbook, that's up on our website. It was revised in 2019, so it's really up to date, and it's really the Bible that we work from. It's really user friendly. It's divided into the different sections depending on who you are, and it's really written in kind of, you know, simple English, and it's a really good handbook actually that we work from. Another interesting study was published last year, which was a case study on PPNs. And just to say, all 31 PPNs across Ireland work from the same values. All about participatory inclusion. You know, we're driven by the values of our members. We're fully transparent. You know, we have our new website, and all of our policies are up there. Our secretariat meeting minutes are up there. Our financial report, you know, we'll be talking about that. So we operate in a transparent way, and we are accountable to our members, to you guys. And just to say, another important value which is often misunderstood, and I think it's something we really need to kind of work to remind everyone, both within the council and really like it's a piece of work that has to happen, I think, at a national level too, is that PPNs are independent. We are run independently of the council. We're non-party political. And really, you know, my work and Patrick's work is guided by the work plan, by the secretariat and by the members, and I report to all of you. Now, the reason why this isn't often understood is because I sit in the county council in County Hall. That's where our offices are. We are housed within the council, and my email is at corkcoco.ie, but the council really have you know, no say in how we operate and how we are run. They are a funder, of course, as is the department, but a strong value is that of independence. Now, other PPNs are set up as a limited company. Some PPNs are actually housed by a third party, and then some are like ourselves, housed within the local authority. So there's a lot of difference there. And another report, just to flag, every year the department publish an annual report. 2020's one is due to be out next month. And I think this just shows actually how the potential of PPNs at a national level. If you look at it, all 31 PPNs have over 15,000 member groups. They have 928 reps on 424 boards and committees of all of those local authorities. And I think there's a great scope for all of those reps to kind of come together and to really feed into kind of national policy, as much as we're feeding into kind of local policy. So look, as well as representation, Cork County PPN strives to bring the most up-to-date information from Cork County Council to our groups. We send out our weekly newsletter, and we sometimes send direct emails. If we get something in from Cork County Council that we feel needs to go out that day to our groups, we'll send it out to you. We also really want to work to build our groups' capacity and our representatives' capacity to do the work as best they can, to really feel confident in the committee meetings, to represent their community. So we have a budget for training, and we offer training to really build the capacity of the groups to actually get involved in public participation. And as well, networking, look, when we get back to the in-person events, the networking side of the PPN really comes into itself, and is really another big role of the PPN. So look, just to get into the actual work plan. So as Liam said, myself and Patrick, we didn't actually start till the 31st of May. So the Secretariat have been working hard, since January, and if probably before, with Harriet to draft the work plan. And tonight we're going to, get your input on it and hopefully vote for it to be passed for your approval. The main priorities for this year were really to kind of draft up all of our governance policies. We feel like we couldn't have operated without having clear and transparent policies for all of you to vote and to ratify. Again, there's a memorandum of understanding agreed every year with Cork County Council. So that was done at the start of the year, and it's due to be renegotiated next month, actually. It was really important to get staff on board. There hadn't been staff in Cork County PPN since 2019. So that was obviously a big priority. And really, there had been 2 years where, the PPN wasn't engaging with groups. It was quite dormant. So we know there's still a big piece of work in re-establishing that connection with our groups. They're all spread out across the county, and, we really can't wait to kind of get out and about and start meeting you in person as well. So look, just to kind of briefly go through the calendar, again, this is up on our website. So, all 18 policies are drafted. Once the staff were recruited, really, we looked to see what did we have to do. And, Patrick really took on the re-registration process, thank God, because it was very tricky. And I'll say now, even though we might be a bit behind other PPNs in some things, we are ahead of them with re-registration, because a lot of PPNs have been afraid to go near it, but we are out the other end. And it was just so important after 2 years of dormancy, changes in GDPR, that we really re-registered our groups. A lot of the groups were signed up way back when we didn't have emails for them. They were aircom emails, so we faced the reality that we really had to re-register. As well as that, we looked at our website, and unfortunately the website just wasn't functional. It wasn't fit for the purposes we needed. So we spent, and we're still working on, our new website, which we think will help us to do our job a lot better. And really now, the next real piece of work is raising our profile, within Cork, within our groups, and across, within the council as well, within our stakeholders, really letting people know what the PPN is, what's our role, and really just trying to get the message out there. So communications is a big part of it. And of course, the main function again is to fill our 37 seats that have been vacant for over 2 years, and it's, it is totally unacceptable that they were vacant, but, we're here now and we're working really hard, to fill those seats. So just to say, if you haven't seen the website, I'd encourage you to have a look. So, you know, we have a members directory. You can find yourself and other organizations on it. Something that we came up with recently was a member spotlight. So there's a special place on the website to give you guys a platform where you can, you know, you can send us news items as well, or you can have your own member spotlight to promote your own work. We have a big resource section with all of our newsletters, our policies, our minutes. We have an event section and a live calendar. So look, the website is really there for us, but it's also there for you. You know, it's there for you to promote your work. Again, you know, a big piece of work was around getting the message out there that we're back, you know, and we're back in business, and we really want to kind of engage with you. So we've been running a PR campaign, and we have been getting good coverage, you know, in kind of the local papers, the Echo, Examiner, the Independent, and, you know, the more local ones like the Avondhu and the Southern Star. You know, there's hopefully more to come. And we've also gotten really good slots on 96 FM, Red FM, C103, you know, so hopefully people got to hear that. And really, I mean, the most pressing matter now is filling our 37 seats. You all, you know, all the members anyway would have gotten information around the nomination process. You know, there's a nomination form. You know, anyone from any one of our groups can be nominated. You know, the deadline for nominations is the 5th of November. And if we have more than one nominee that's going for a seat, we'll be having an election, and that'll happen online. And then finally, the next, you know, big piece of work that we will be doing is our community wellbeing vision. So we have started work on this, and we finished our spec for our tender, and that's been sent out to consultants. And we'd hope to appoint a consultant to do this work with us and you mid-November. And the plan would be that it's finished in May. And this then will really feed into local plans like the LECP, but also, you know, if we want to put in a submission to a plan or a policy from representing the PPN, right now I don't feel like we can do it because we don't know, we don't have a mandate from you. So the vision really gives us the mandate from our communities, and it helps us to really know what it is that's important. So look, that's it. There's plenty more updates later, and I think now we're going to have a little Q&A, and before we ratify our 18 policies as well as the work plan. So look, any questions now? I'll hand it back over to Liam, so if he wants to facilitate that discussion.
Thank you there, Sandy. Shortly now, we're going to have a poll on the 18 or 19 questions. They're the governance documents and the email into usage policy, the election of expectations and responsibilities of reps, financial policy, grievance procedure, nominations, plenary standing orders. There's a whole list of them there. They're all actually on our they're on our website. You've been notified of that over the last few weeks. So if any of you have questions on the this particular questions and answers here is specifically for the draft policies. So if any of you have questions there, if you might put them in the chat box there. And thanks to Jude and Carol for manning those there at the moment, the chat box. And we'll try and answer any questions if you have any questions. So, is there any questions from anyone on those? Right.
I don't see any at the moment, so maybe everybody has. All right.
Okay, thanks, Jude. So maybe if we went ahead and did the voting, so I might hand you over there to Claire, and she's going to run the polls. It's an online poll. There's 19 or 20 questions in total. The first question on the poll is if you accept all the policies, and that makes it all very simple. So you can tick your answer there. I think that is that the correct one there that we're looking at?
Yeah,
Claire?
the first question there, Liam, is tick if you accept all 19 policies. So if you tick that first answer, then you don't need to read down through all of the questions there. But if you don't accept the first question, then can you scroll down and look at all the questions and tick yes or no on the questions, and then we have a second window of questions. So we leave that up there for about 2 minutes, just give people a chance. So if you can see that poll, can you tick? Great, people have started ticking, thanks very much. So if you tick number 1, if you accept all 19 policies, you don't need to tick anything else. But if you want to individually read down through and tick individual questions, that's fine. We leave it there for about 2 minutes. So this is 1 to 10, and then we have a second screen of questions after this. So just make sure that you can see the poll there and tick it, please.
I think maybe there's 1 or 2 of us might have a vote here at this
Oh,
point.
sorry, yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe just to remind everyone that, you know, only full members can vote.
Sorry, yes,
actually.
full members have voting rights,
And just the 1 person per group.
and each group has only 1 vote. Now, I presume if you're representing 2 groups, but each group has only 1 actual vote.
This
No.
is Kathleen Heffernan here from Glenville. I'm not sure whether I have a vote or not because I don't know what stories, but I have been getting information from the PPN.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I did tick yes. I did tick yes there for the 19 questions.
If you've been getting our emails, I'd say you are a member, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And look, we have a way of validating the voting anyway, you know. So if we look back and we see somebody voted multiple times, or somebody that isn't a full member voted, we can just verify it thereafter. So
Yeah, Claire, this isn't letting me submit my vote.
No,
For some
sorry,
reason.
Liam, it's because we had used an admin when we opened the question. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
I can't
Anyway,
either. There's
the-
a couple of queries there actually just coming in now. So Donal
Okay.
Kizan, apologies, we could only see 4 policies on the PPN website, and can you put up the link for the 19 policies, please? That's number 1. And then Liz Maddox says they can't vote and we are registered. So just wondering if that's
Is that possibly because you're using a mobile or something?
Maybe I should still be able to vote in Zoom. I've always been able to vote on Zoom or mobile before.
Yeah, there
I
should be.
do meetings 3 or 4 a day on Zoom, and I haven't had a problem.
Right.
okay.
I had to answer all 10. The first clicking yes to the first question didn't enable the submit button, so maybe that might be a problem for somebody.
Yeah, I agree. It stuck for a minute and then eventually gave me all 10.
Try again, maybe. I've lost it now anyway.
We just give it, maybe we just give it a minute more and just see if I have to think I have to click
Off
off.
my screen.
Yeah, sorry, you are actually going to have to take all 10 questions. That's an error on my behalf. Apologies.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we know now.
Can you put it back up then again?
It's still there. I can't relaunch it or it'll lose the information that's there.
Well, I can't go back to it.
It's not up for me to look at now again. If you're looking for me to take it in Glenville, it's not up for me to do anything with it.
Me either.
Who's that in Glenville? Sorry, just
Sorry, Kathleen Heffernan is my name.
okay.
But
that's me.
it's not up for me. I ticked the 19 questions. I ticked yes to the 19, but it's not
And
back
did
up
you
on the
submit-
screen for me to look to do anything else.
Did
Same
you
for-
submit?
I don't know, because it's gone. I went to ask the question to know whether or not I could actually vote, and now it's gone off the screen, so I don't know whether I did or not.
Same
Okay.
thing for me. Same thing for me. It's just gone.
I'd say that means you probably voted once you click that. Is that right,
Well,
Claire?
when you go into it, you can say Glenville is quite happy to tick the 19, so you can tick us the box if it doesn't come up that I have submitted it.
Great, we'll take a note
Okay.
of that. So
Same for me. I tried to do it. I can't do it.
Okay, there was one other thing. I'm just trying to scroll back there. Oh yes, Sandy has put up the link to all the policies because I think it was it Christine looking for it.
No,
There are all the policies
They
have been
should
up
be on the
website with a couple of weeks of this, haven't they, Sandy?
They've been up for a few weeks, yeah, they're all there. There's on the resources page, there's a specific policies section. Click in that, and there's actually 2 pages of all of those policies. They are all there. To get to the second page, you have to just click on the older posts at the bottom, and it'll bring you to the next page. So look, they are all up there.
I've just done mine. I've just been able to do it again. I went back.
Okay.
How do you get back to the poll? Sorry, I can't see that.
I went to chat, go to chat, and then go the polls, press polls, and it takes you back to the sheet where the polls are. Go to chat, and then you'll see polls.
Christine Lane, just trying to catch up with them all there. Can't vote until I have gone through the policies. The plenary should be postponed until the policies have been sent to all the members. But I think have we clarified that in the fact that they're all accessible to on the website and people have been sent the details, or?
Well, all the policies are available online, and they have been for the last number of weeks. And Sandy has sent out emails to that effect to all, and I think it's been in the newsletter as well. And all that information has already gone out a number of weeks ago.
Okay, we're going to end the first poll and launch the second set of questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just one other. Martin O'Malley asked if we could use the chat to vote if people had difficulty with the function on Zoom. That's yes, I'd say. Could we use the chat to vote?
We need to keep a record of all votes, and that's correct, isn't it, Sandy?
I'm sorry, Liam, I was just answering the chat. What did you say, sorry?
Yeah, I was saying that somebody suggested that to use the chat to record people's votes.
Yeah, and we'll be saving the chat at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, people could put in their name and their group that they're from, actually, and that would kind of validate the vote, if you like, in the chat. At least we'd know where, that there was one vote per group. Is that all right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm ending the first 10 questions and I'm going to launch the second. Okay. Okay, so that should be up in front of you there now. So these are questions 11 to 19.
We'll give that another few minutes there, Claire, do we?
Yeah, that's okay. We'll give it another minute or so. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We should be able to get a result at the end of the poll anyway, and we'll be able to Sandy and Patrick will have access to the back office, and we'll be able to see the to be able to verify everything. So
Okay, are you happy that we end that poll now?
are we happy? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so we shared the results from poll 1.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a 98% in favor of all 19 policies being ratified. So I suppose really that under the standing orders, it's a simple majority. So that's well above the simple majority. So all policies have been passed, and Sandy will have the back office availability on these anyway, just to make sure everything is okay. But at a 98% approval, I'm sure everything is above board. So
Stop sharing and
we
move
don't
on.
need to see the other one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now, the interesting part of the evening, the finances. Peter Deneen, he's a secretariat member, and he's also sitting on the finance subcommittee, and he's going to give us a brief update on the PPN finances. I'll hand over to Peter now. Thank you very much, Peter.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me all right. So I'm going to give you a very brief update on the finances. As Sandy mentioned earlier on, there's 31 PPNs, and I suppose the most unfortunate thing about Cork County PPN is that it's the largest, but we get the same budget as every other PPN gets. So we have the same budget as County Louth, although we're like a lot bigger. So that's the only downside of the budget, I suppose. In some ways, the main funding comes from the department, which gives us €55,700, and the Cork County Council local authority gives us 35,000, and that is a total of 110,700 every year. Most of the budget goes on salaries for our 2 staff, which are thankfully they're hired since the end of May. And that's very important to us because they do all the work. And other parts of the salary then, other parts of the budget then go towards things like the secretariat expenses, meeting rooms, training, staffing the office, things like that. Now, last year, the department allowed us to carry over some of the unspent budget. Now, that unspent budget was mainly made up of staffing costs because we didn't have staff, but there was still a budget given to us. And then as well, of course, we didn't have that much spending and meetings and things like that because of the pandemic. So we had extra budget this time around. So there was an underspend of €47,898 allowed to carry over. Now, that was really helpful this year because we had to pay some extra expenses that we normally wouldn't have, like the paying of a facilitator to get the PPN up and running again. And also then there was staffing costs for, like, say, laptops, IT equipment, training of staff. And also then as well, we spent a lot of money on getting the website up and running. So we still have some budget left to spend. We have about 47,000 that we would love to spend between now and the year end. But that's going to be very, very tight because, as you know, like coming up to the end of the year, everyone will be looking to spend budget, and we're just trying to find things to spend it on. We don't want to be wasting the money either, because we are hoping that we can make a plea and a case to allow the department to let us roll over all of that money, or maybe some of that money at least, for us to spend on other things. Now we have some stuff that's outstanding, like there's 10,000 for the wellbeing consultancy, and that's a lot of money that we want to use as well. So that would be spent this year, but used next year and the year after and the year after. So there's a couple of things like that we're looking at to try and spend the money. As I said, most of the budget is being spent on salaries, which is expected, and the rest of the money then is on secretarial expenses. There's also training expenses. There is running the elections costs money as well, although they're online at the moment, but we hope to during 2022 branch out and spend that face-to-face, or hiring rooms, hiring hotels, hiring facilities just to hold the elections, things like that. I think that's about all I can talk about. The other expenses that we have are PR, animation, wellbeing contact, as I said, IT, insurance as well. We have to have insurance. It costs about €1,000 a year, roughly just slightly under €1,000. And then there is, that's about it. Really, that's all what we're spending it on. So, so once we have the salaries paid, we have about 30,000 in the budget, but it really is used up with office expenses, traveling expenses, meeting rooms, that kind of stuff. So that's it, I think. We're always looking for more money from the department, and we're always using that case that we are a larger county than others and that we should be getting more money, but it's falling on deaf ears apparently, because once the department are always saying, well, once we make a case for one county, we have to make it for every county. So that's a bit unfortunate that way. If there are any questions, I'd like to answer them if I can, and if I can't, I can try and find out the answer and contact you after the meeting or sometime during the week, whatever, to give you the answers that I have. So,
Peter, there's a question there from Liz Maddox. A lot of money could be used in community. I suppose I just thinking on that, I presume from the point of view of the wellness survey, and that's going to allow us give us a where we can help direct the council to spend the money in the correct places. But maybe you want to comment as well.
Well, yeah, and there's no barrier for us to we can also go towards the LCDCs looking for funding as well. We can go to the leader companies to look for funding if we have a certain project that we think that the PPN could work on. So there's nothing stopping us doing things like that. There's nothing stopping us looking for other funding outside of what the department and the local authority give us. But the problem is that, to do that, we would have to draw up a plan and a project plan and a proposal to look for that funding. We haven't had to come up with that yet. But certainly we're very, very open to doing that. I think all members of the PPN could work together and come up with something that, if we found that we could work on a project that would benefit any community or the PPN itself, we can do that.
Thank you. Any other questions for Peter?
Peter?
Yeah.
Hello, Peter?
Yeah.
Pat Dooley.
Speak. Pat, how
Dooley.
are you?
Very good. I just wonder, could we get some awards for the community? One way of helping the community to spend some of the money as well.
Sorry, and a recognition award, is it, Pat?
A community award for some individual out of the Cork County,
Yeah, we could, absolutely. And maybe not just for one person, but maybe a list, something that I was talking about some months ago, maybe is talking about, an award from each of the pillars. So an award for somebody out of the community, out of the social inclusion, and out of the environment awards.
Yeah,
so
that would be fine.
At least three,
Yeah, that'd be very good. Yeah, totally agree.
It would, yeah, it would. And I think it would be something that could come directly from the PPN, nominated by the PPN and voted for the PPN. So all the members say, I'd nominate, we've run here tonight, but of all the member groups could have a vote and say nominate people. But I suppose that's a discussion for another night. But yes, certainly we could use something from that budget, from our budget, to do that. But again, and I know I've been talking to Sandy about this during the week, once the salaries are paid from that budget, things are very, very tight. They are every year, they're tight. And I know, looking back the last number of years as well, they are tight, and we're always looking for more money. But certainly we could ring fence some money for those awards.
And you might get a sponsor in the meantime.
Very, we absolutely could, yeah. And you're thinking, no, Pat, in fairness to you.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions there, Liam? Can I see it? Can you see any other questions in the chat box?
I don't see any other questions here. And just another comment there from Liz about the fact that I suppose really look, money is scarce all around, but yeah, look, we you know, we're aware of that. We are going doing the wellness survey, which should hopefully help guide the council and the department and that into spending money in the proper places. So thank you, Peter.
Yeah, sorry, just before I go, sorry, Liam, I just want to mention one other thing. I suppose two other things really. Like that money that we have left over, we're very anxious to spend that, and certainly we could ring fence some of that for what Pat said. Also, like we're also looking at ways of spending maybe for things that we can hold on to, like say assets that we, even printed materials and stuff like that we can use over the next 12 months as well. So we're anxious to spend that money as much as we can. Another thing is that I'm also a member along with Jose and I think yourself, Liam, on the Finance Oversight Committee. So we monitor and we check and we audit what money is being spent by the PPN. So just in case people think that, there's a run of the mill for this money, there's not. There's always checks and balances on this as well. And we work with the resource worker and support worker, Sandy and Pat, in making sure that the finances are being spent in the right way and that if it's a certain amount that it goes out to tender and stuff like that. So just let you know that there's an oversight committee as well for this.
Yeah. I have a message here from somebody there who's sorry, it's after moving up now a little bit on me. Anyway, basically, it's the Junior Chamber International Cork chapter, and they have some ideas about how to improve the PPN, and we'd be delighted to see you coming along and coming on board with the PPN and getting elected onto the secretariat or as a rep, and bringing those ideas to around the table. That's what this evening is about. So there's just anyway, that's the finances, and thank you for that. Now another part, our staff, Sandy is our support worker, but there's is our resource worker, and there's a support worker who's Patrick Buckley. Patrick is on board since May 31st as well. So Patrick now is going to come and talk to us about the re-registration process, the training opportunities, which is there for all our member groups. And in a lot of cases, it's free training that's available. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of cases it is free training. So Patrick is going to give us the lowdown on all of that. Are you there, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen there now, just to make sure.
Sorry, Patrick, you're muted there. Could you unmute yourself when you're ready?
Yeah, sorry, when I share it, it just won't let me unmute it for some reason. Let's share now.
We can hear you now.
Public participation number.
When I share it, it just mutes me for some reason. Sorry, no, just it won't let me.
No, you're sorry, you're not sharing at the moment, right? You're muted.
Sorry, when I share my screen, it just won't let me unmute. For some reason, it's kind of locked. So look, I'll just speak about it. To be honest with you, I know it off the top of my head at this stage. So the first kind of undertaking that I did was the re-registration, as Liam said. It was a big undertaking. There was 1,000 groups in our database when we looked in Salesforce. So the first thing we did was we sent out an email to everybody to ask them to re-register with the PPN. And the reason we did this is because we have to do it every 2 years to make sure that groups are actually active and that we have the up-to-date information for everybody. So I suppose the main thing is that we have the correct details, and that we know the correct email addresses and contact numbers, so that when we send out information to groups, that they're actually you're getting the information. And how we did this, we sent a re-registration form to every group. We pre-populated as much information as we could, and tried to make it as easy as possible for people to actually send back the information. Once I got back the information, I went into everybody's account, and I updated, let's say, a new primary contact name, email address, phone number, etc. So as of today, we have 250 groups re-registered with the PPN. The breakdown is 195 with community and voluntary. We have 11 environmental, and we have 44 social inclusion. So when we add together the new groups that registered this year, we have a grand total of 388 active groups within the PPN. Now, the re-registration, we left it open for a longer period of time due to the COVID restrictions, and letting people, take into account that people might have access to emails and things like that. And as Sandy said, with Aircom accounts and things like that, I think they're become kind of dormant now due to the fact that people have to pay for it. So we just gave a longer period of time so people could actually send it back. And we're open to people sending back the re-registration forms at any stage, and we're happy to have people re-register with us. The next area I'd like to speak about is our weekly newsletter. So we send out a weekly newsletter on a Thursday evening with all the information of upcoming funding, consultation, webinars that are available to people. And again, if people feel the newsletter could be improved, I welcome any constructive criticism or information, and try and help me to improve it. You can email me on ppn@corkcoco.ie. Again, if people have any events that they would like to promote, please email them to me at that email address, and I will add it to the weekly newsletter. The last thing I would like to speak about is just, as Liam said, training. We actually ran our first training session last Thursday. It was about introduction to fundraising. It was a great success. I've got great feedback about it, and hopefully we might run that actual training next year again, because it's been so successful. Our next training session is actually on the 2nd of November. It's a social media training with Karen Toomey from Communications Hub. It's on between 7 and 8. Now there is a few places left, so if anybody's interested, please email me at the ppn@corkcoco.ie email address, and I can add you to the list. The next training session after that is a GDPR training session with Caroline Egan from Camden Tech. It will take place on the 2nd of December between 7 and 9:30. There is places available for this. So again, if you're interested, or a member of your group is interested, please ask them to email me on the ppn@corkcoco.ie email address, and I will add them to the list. And finally, the last training of the year will be a Mojo training, which will be run by Fusion. And this is to show groups how to capture and edit and publish online content. We don't unfortunately have a date yet, but hopefully it will be run in kind of the next 6 or 7 weeks. And I think that is it. And we are actually going to give away a gimbal, which is a device you need to use when you're doing the Mojo training. And we're going to run a draw there now in a second. I think Claire's going to run a draw. And whoever wins the draw will be signed up to the training automatically. When I have more information about the Mojo training, I will send it out in the weekly newsletter, and people can sign up at that stage. And that is it. And I'll hand you back to Liam with that.
Thank you, Patrick. So Claire, are you doing the draw there for us now?
Yeah, I am. And what we did was, I'm just going to share my screen. Now we're going to run the draw. So we took the numbers at 8 o'clock this evening. So we've 85 people. And basically, as Patrick said, it is for a gimbal. And Liam, you can explain what a gimbal is if you want.
The gimbal is a little camera item where it helps people do up little videos and that about themselves and about their group and about their area and all of that to help promote. These will be part, will then go up on the website under the spotlight. And the winner is number 37. So
Number
I think we'll have a name there in a minute, will we?
Jill, Y-W-E-Y-M-A-N.
Jill Wyman, is it? Jill Wyman.
Jill Wyman. What group is Jill with?
I don't think she's put.
We don't have our group, unfortunately, Jill.
Okay, but
Oh,
maybe
sorry.
Jill is there in the room. Maybe she
Cork
can tell us.
Nature.
Cork Nature.
Cork Nature. So you'll be able to do some nature filming now and share it with everybody on the spotlight. Now coming to the group spotlights, our next section here, where we're actually going to spotlight a group tonight. So the whole thing about the spotlight is that we get a chance to you know, tell people, tell the county what we're about, what we're doing, whether it's maybe a Tidy Towns cleaning up a particular area, or maybe an environmental group restoring a bog or something like that. Whatever whatever the group is at, this is what the spotlight is about. So this evening we're going to put the spotlight on Green Skibbereen, and Noel Casserly is going to tell us about Green Skibbereen. Noel.
Thanks very much, Liam, and good evening, everyone. I have a few slides here, which I'll just put up on the screen now. So yes, Noel Casserly is my name, and I'm a director with Green Skibbereen, and we're a not-for-profit group established about just under 2 years ago, and I'm going to tell you about a flagship project that we're working on, which is the Centre of Excellence for Climate Action and Sustainability at Myra Ross Wood House in Leap. So just let's see if I can pull up the okay, so essentially this group was formed after a public meeting in Skibbereen at the end of 2019, so almost 2 years ago now, and we were established as a not-for-profit group originally with 6 directors. We now have 5, and a broad base of experience and expertise within the group. Myself, I have a background in public administration and working for government in the area of climate change negotiations and sustainable development. And Jose Ospina, who's also with Carberry Housing Association and is here this evening, is also director. Brendan McCormick and Anna Ospina and Trish Lavelle are our fellow directors. So the original mission was to look at, you know, what can be done at community level in terms of climate action and sustainability, particularly around the area of renewable energy and retrofit. This is an area we saw initially where, you know, we're looking communities could come together, and working together could make, you know, could take really positive steps in this area. And the whole Sustainable Energy Communities program was one which the group looked at, and indeed the Better Energy Community program also. So back in early 2020, the group encouraged homeowners and local businesses in Skibbereen to retrofit and upgrade their properties, install solar panels, and also avail of whatever funding was available. So that was, I suppose, the kind of early action, but we were sort of looking around at other projects as well, particularly the area of kind of energy generation, community energy, and so on. And we were aware of a project which was already running at Myra Ross Wood House, an energy conservation, energy retrofit project there, which was being run by the UCC School of Architecture and others. And indeed, Jose Ospina, our fellow director, was involved in this project, an Energy Pathfinder project. So over the course of about 12 months, in discussions with the missionaries of the Sacred Heart, who were the owners of the property, we came up with the idea of establishing a centre of excellence for climate change and sustainability. Like, this is a fantastic property, if any of you know it, situated in the village of Leap there, with substantial woodlands and also coastal frontage. And indeed, what's really important about it was that it was such a big part of the community over the years, since 1947, when the missionaries essentially took over this property. It was a local amenity, and people used the property, you know, to come and to walk, and also local groups indeed would have used that property. So we were very conscious of that that legacy that was there, and how could we take this property and look at it from a sustainability point of view itself, that perhaps in terms of the retrofit of the project, it could be a really good demonstration model for large institutional buildings of this nature, and it could be sort of a hub, if you like, for training and for capacity building and so on. So we were very lucky to get funding from the West Cork Leader, from CCAD, and we commissioned a feasibility study. And there were two aspects to this. There was the architectural study, looking at the kind of retrofit and refurbishment options for the property, and also the socioeconomic aspects and the kind of business planning side of things. So that feasibility study has been published, the two reports, and has been launched and is now on the website. There is a new website for the project, which you'll see at the end of the presentation. But just to give you an idea of, you know, some of the kind of funding programs that we're looking at, the Energy Pathfinder, which I mentioned, that project, in fact, is more or less complete at this stage. The Leader funding program, which we got funding for the feasibility study, we're now looking at a follow-on application. So to start those works in terms of the retrofit of the property and the refurbishment, particularly looking at things like the options for renewable energy, and part of that we've invited tenders for various work packages, and part of that will involve the installation of renewable energy and a new hot water system based on renewable energy. We're also looking at European programs such as the EU LIFE program and also Horizon, and we're working together, in fact, with partners to develop a LIFE program with partners in Latvia, in Portugal, and in Italy, looking at the idea of a European College for Sustainable Energy Communities. So that's in the early stages yet, and we hope to submit this early next year. So let's see, move down here. Just to give you some of the headlines there from the feasibility study, the sort of anticipated impacts of the project, and potentially there are some really big wins here in terms of not only what we might do in terms of promoting sustainability and climate action and working with other groups and stakeholders, but also in terms of job creation there. So at the moment, we do have while all the directors are unpaid and are volunteers, we do have a household staff there. So, and hopefully we can be a catalyst within the area in terms of job creation in this transition to low carbon and climate resilient economies. So just in terms of the activities that are there at the moment, like the property itself is quite substantial. There's like 200 square meters of accommodation, about 50 bedrooms. So we have a small offering on Airbnb. And we also have meeting spaces for local community groups, like the local women's group or the retired group, around wellness. We also have, meeting spaces. So indeed, I would highlight that for any of the groups that are here this evening. If you're looking at a venue for any meetings or conferences, we would be delighted to hear from you. We're also running a monthly outdoor market. In fact, there was one due today, but had to be cancelled because of the poor weather. But there is a Christmas market planned for the 5th of December. So finally, that's it. If you want to contact us, you can contact us there at info@ccas.ie, and indeed that's the website as well, CCAS, and indeed the website of our group as well, Green Skibbereen, is there. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening, and I'll hand back to you now, Liam.
Thanks, Noel, for a very informative presentation there. Next on our agenda for this evening, very important coming up now are the elections for the representatives onto the county committees and boards and that. So we're going to have a quick chat there with Anne Finch, who's going to tell us of her experience as a PPN rep. Anne, are you there?
Good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to get my video. So my camera refuses to come on again, but I presume you can all hear me.
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Liam. So I was elected as a PPN rep back in late 2015, and I joined the members of the Tourism Strategic Policy Committee. My first meeting took place in the County Hall in January 2016. My last one was in January 2019. It was a very exciting time to be involved in the tourism SPC, because during that time, the Well Atlantic Way, which had been launched officially in 2013, they were still being developed. The Ireland's Ancient East was what was launched, and Munster Vales. So there were a lot of workshops to attend. There was a lot of training involved. And of course, also Visit Cork and the Pure Cork brand was being developed as well. So we had a lot of dealings with Seamus Heaney there in Cork City. So as a rep, you're involved with Cork County Council, with the councillors, with Fault Ireland, and a lot of stakeholders in the tourism industry. It was a really, really great experience. We went, most of the meetings are, most of the Strategic Policy Committee, they're 4 meetings a year. Most of them are held in the County Hall, but on 2 occasions, that I remember in particular, we had a visit to Spike Island, and we also went to Youghal, and we visited the Youghal Town Hall Clock. They were really special days. They're great achievements for Cork County. Just to remind people, Cork, we're actually, because we're such a big county, we are impacted by all 3 Wild Atlantic Way, Ireland's Ancient East, which comes as far as Youghal, and the Munster Vales. So, and I also attended the plenary sessions, and from those, any feedback that any queries or comments or suggestions that I got, I brought them back to the Secretariat and to the Strategic Policy Committees. So yeah, tourism has obviously, it goes without saying, has been severely impacted. And so the challenge is to get that back up and running. I think we have a very solid tourism product here in Cork, so I think we'll all rise to the challenge. Anybody who is thinking of becoming a rep, I would say it is a big commitment. So think carefully before you accept a nomination, because there is definitely a lot of work involved in it, but it is very rewarding and very exciting. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Anne, for that talk, and hopefully you've inspired many out there to put their names forward for the upcoming elections. So now we've finished all the presentations and all of that. So we're going to have a questions and answer session now. If you can put your questions in the chat, there, it would probably be easier if you can't access the chat. We can take audio questions as well, but so if anyone has questions there, would they like to put them in the chat? And Gavin, you have your hand up there. Do you want to unmute first? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually elected to the Secretariat and I'm in the community and voluntary sector. However, I do have some reason to go into the social exclusion area. And I'm just wondering how you can either combine both, or do you have to move from one section of the PPN to the other? And I'm not totally clear on that. And I just wondered if anybody else had a similar query in that area, shall we say.
Well, my understanding of it is that you would nominate yourself for the college, which would be more in keeping with the bigger majority of your work. So if it's 90%, if it's 90% social inclusion and 10% community, then you're in the social inclusion. If it's the other way around, you're in the community. That's really the way
I just felt nothing static, and certainly when I joined, I was very much elected by a community group, and that was undoubtedly the question. But things change, and I now feel that I could either represent or raise the question of social exclusion for a small group, so to speak. And I just wonder how that actually, how you can play two roles, if you like, I suppose.
Well, I suppose really, like most groups are, because we're community groups, we're going to be part of social inclusion. We're going to be part of the environment. So really, like we're all a bit of everything. And that's where somebody has asked there about linkage groups, which is very important to the thing. But like we don't fit neatly in one square box. Some of us go into 2 boxes or 3 boxes, and it's like we're all interested in our environment, we're all interested in our community and voluntary work, and we're all interested in social inclusion. But it, like, really the college you belong to is the one where 90% or 75% of your group's work is, that would be my feeling.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think maybe that's something for I was going to say the powers that be or the department to consider in the future, how people can switch or move, or how they can represent more than one group, so to speak. I just feel there's a slight gap in the way things are set up at the moment, if you understand. Now, I may be a voice in the wilderness, only one person making this point, but I think it.
No, we'll take it on board, and we can discuss it at the next Secretariat meeting as well. Bernadette there from
Liam, could I just comment on that, Gavin? Sorry, there is a way really. Now the best practice is that one rep would only really sit on one committee, and that would hopefully facilitate more people being involved. But depending on how much interest there is, one person could potentially sit on 2 committees. Now, if you were involved in 2 groups, you could be nominated from both groups. So one of those groups could be a social inclusion group, and one could be, let's say, community and voluntary. So Gavin, if you were involved in a group that self-selected and registered with the PPN as a social inclusion group, you could by all means wear your social inclusion hat and nominate yourself for that one of those seats. But also, I suppose, in the committees, there's seats for social inclusion and environmental and community and voluntary seats oftentimes. So I think, as a community and voluntary rep, you can definitely still bring up, anything that you feel is kind of there to represent your community,
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Sandy, on that. Bernadette from Cork is all I can see here. Wondering about the
Environmental
timeline.
Forum.
Sorry?
Bernadette from the Cork Environmental Forum, is that it? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the one. Wondering about the timeline of the setup of the linkage groups, which I think are crucial. Yeah, they are crucial, and our next body of work, once we have reps, and that, because we need the reps to be able to drive the linkage groups, and again, getting back to Gavin's point there, like, we could put a linkage group for each SPC, but some of those will actually cross over, and that's all. Like, even though there are however many SPCs, there may not be as many linkage groups, insofar as that some groups will fall in two different come into two different linkage or sorry, some linkage groups will cover 2 or 3 different SPCs. So yeah, they are very important, and that's our next body of work as a secretariat to get them up and running. Now I'm having difficulty moving on the
yeah, the chat is difficult.
The chats.
I think it's Passage West. There's a question as well. Angela, they're asking about whether from Passage West, Maritime and Heritage.
Hi Angela. Most of the SPC meetings do take place in the county hall.
But will they be blended or to start with, or are they hoping to go back to county hall? I suppose is the crux of her question.
I suppose they're hoping to get back to county hall as soon as possible. Are they doing in-person meetings at the moment, Sandy, or are they all online?
They've just started to do the in-person in the council chambers, just for the kind of they consider most important meetings. I think the full council meetings, and they've actually set it up now to allow for a blended attendance. So you have a big screen and people can either join virtually or in person. So I imagine that's the way it's going to go. We're literally waiting on permission to kind of be allowed to organise those in-person meetings, and we hope ourselves that Secretariat meetings will be held in the council chamber, where you can have your 2 metre distance in person as well as those joining virtually. So I'd look, as soon as we find out, I would hope that the SPC's meetings from next year onwards will be held in county hall, but allow for that blended joining as well.
Okay, Sandy. Sandy, there's a question there from Bernadette in Cork Environmental Forum as well about the inequality of representation across all the colleges. We might look at that at the next secretariat meeting, and maybe contact Bernadette to find out if maybe she has some ideas that would help.
Look, I did follow up on that, so I suppose just to say that's probably in reference to the amount of environmental seats really that are there. So SPCs, there's 8 SPCs, and they're at the beginning when they were set up, the guidelines from the department was that there would be 3 PPN seats per SPC, and each seat would be of the different colleges. So there'd be an equal number of environmental seats and community and voluntary seats and social inclusion seats. But the way that Cork County Council has set up its SPCs, there's actually only 5 environmental seats across 4 SPCs. So look, this is something that we really want to change, and we want to increase the environmental representation. And I've been speaking to various people in the council. So the setup of the SPCs anyway, that's decided once the new election cycle will kick in. And at the beginning of the election cycle, when the new councillors are voted in, there's a public consultation that goes out and that asks people for input around the formulation of SPCs. So right now we wouldn't be able to change the current number of seats, but in 2 years' time, when we have the next election cycle, at that point we can really lobby and input submissions in the public consultation process to actually reform the whole SPC, the kind of the way that the seats are laid out. And then in relation to the LCDCs, So when the government again put guidelines out for LCDCs, they recommend that there were 5 PPN seats in each LCDC. We only have 2 community and voluntary seats up for nomination at the moment. We have 3 LCDC committees in Cork County. And the answer I've been given is that each LCDC has a cap on numbers, and they have to ensure that, you know, there's one more elected rep than non-elected rep, and that all these other sectors are included, including the development companies. And that's why we don't have the full 5 seats on each LCDC. And as well, there's another issue as well, whereby there is a PPN environmental seat on each of the LCDCs, and that is currently being filled. They were allocated back when they were first set up, and we have people in there, but we want to put them up again for renomination, because those people have been sitting in the LCDC for more than for about 2 terms. So again, we're not permitted right now to open up those environmental seats. But we're being told they're doing a review at the moment of all of the LCDC seats, because really they should have been changed 3 years ago, but they managed to get an extension. So look, that's what I would say. We are, you know, we completely recognise that there isn't enough environmental representation across those committees, and that's something, you know, we can hopefully work towards.
Yeah, I can assure everybody too that this comes up year after year in the MOU negotiations, and we are pushing for it. They keep coming back to us and saying, look, it's set for this local authority term of office, and you know, for the next one. So hopefully we will be able to get it changed for the 2024 elections, and hopefully we can do it sooner, but definitely we'd be looking to get it done then. Somebody else has something in here. For new applications, how soon would we know if we're fully registered? Sandy, I think you might take that one.
So if you want to register as a group, you can do that online, and you get an email response immediately to say that you're registered, and you'll get your registration number. Now, if you're an environmental group, your registration has to be approved by the Irish Environmental Network. So there's a bit of a lag then, but any other group kind of gets, you know, we do approve at our end, but usually it can happen in the space of a day, and you'll get an email then saying you are registered, and you'll be given a unique number, identifier number.
All right, thank you. Bernadette is back to us there again, just saying that they've managed to address this to an extent within the city. So hopefully we will be able to address it within the county as well. And that is on our agenda for the MOU renegotiations. And Victoria says thank you. Is there any, Carol or Jude, have I missed any questions there?
I don't think so, but if we have missed any questions, please, if somebody would shout out, just.
Yeah, the other thing, just be reassured as well that as this session is all being recorded, Sandy will have access to all that chat. So if there's anything that we've missed tonight, Sandy will make contact with you directly by email. Sandy or Patrick will make contact on that. The MOU is the Memorandum of Understanding. Completing, we need to liaise with, yeah, okay, that's from Sandy. Okay, anyone else got any questions? No, okay. Now we're nearing the end of the evening. We'd like to ask you a few questions to see if we have how we've performed this evening. So Claire, will you put up the poll there, please?
It's there now, Liam, if everybody could just tick.
I don't need to vote in this one, so
I
leave you off to vote this time.
If you can just see that poll in front of you, if you could just tick the questions.
So we're just asking a few questions there. How did you like this particular format? Would you like to attend online again, or would you rather in person, or whatever? You know, so you can see the questions there. So we'll give you a few minutes to go through that. And that, so. Have we anything, or is there anything we're forgetting to do at this stage? Sandy, have we everything covered?
I think so, Liam. Yeah, I think we've everything covered for now. Just
This
to say
particular
something I had.
poll, we're not giving the feedback on this evening. Because but Sandy will have access to the whole lot of it. So okay.
Yeah, just to say, Liam, sorry, there's one other thing I remembered around Bernie's question, that the individual SPCs, if there's kind of room for, within the SPC, that they would invite an environmental rep on, that wouldn't be kind of technically a PPN rep, but they would. So that's something I'm kind of working on as well, a kind of a way around it, basically, because they do have, unlike the LCDCs, the SPCs don't have a cap on their numbers, from what I can tell, and I think that the chair and they're entitled to kind of invite on people, so that could be a way that we get that representation in there, because it is really, really unacceptable that some SPCs don't have any environmental representation at all on them. So it really is unacceptable.
Yeah, well, we'll keep up the fight to get more more representation on it anyway.
Okay, Liam, that's closed now.
That's closed now. Okay, thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the evening. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And just a reminder there, the closing date for nominations to the SPCs and those seats that we need to fill is the 5th of November. And there's upcoming free member training. The date of the next plenary is Wednesday, the 27th of April, 2022. Our next PPN, you'll be delighted to hear this one. Our next PPN event, we're looking at January, hopefully in person, but depending on number and where this whole COVID thing is going, it could be either way. It's on funding grants and services for communities from Cork County Council. So they'll be telling you where the money is and how to get your hands on it. And all the different sections within Cork County Council are going to be coming in and explaining where to get the money, who has the money, and how to get it out of them. So that should be a good event anyway. So that as such ends the formal part of the evening. We are going to leave the room open. So I suppose the recording is going to shut down now.